Hi there, it's me, Amanda Sangermain, a board-certified behavior analyst, and I'm here today to discuss reinforcement with you. What is reinforcement? Reinforcement is something added after a behavior that increases the future frequency of that behavior. It can be anything from something that your child likes to eat, to something that your child likes to play with, to tickles and physical interaction, social praise, and everything in between. It really depends on the individual learner. And later we'll get into preference assessments, which allow you to assess what your learner is most motivated by, and you can use those items as reinforcers. With two kinds of reinforcers, positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. As you can imagine, positive reinforcement is simply adding something after the behavior that increases the future frequency of that behavior, and negative reinforcement is taking something away, such as giving the child a break, which increases the future frequency of behavior. It's very important to note that both positive reinforcement, adding something, and negative reinforcement, taking something away, both increase the future frequency of a behavior. Positive reinforcement, what is it? Adding something that increases behavior. That's right. What is negative reinforcement? That's right, it's taking something away, but it still increases the future frequency of that behavior. A good example of positive reinforcement is that when you're teaching a child something new, say to put on their shoes or to brush their teeth, they earn a reward at the end of that. It could be going outside. First we're going to put on your shoes, and then we can go play outside. We can go run or ride your bike, something that the child really likes to do. That's a really natural way to present a reinforcer. There's also more artificial ways to present a reinforcer, such as do this, the child claps their hands, and you deliver a goldfish. Both are considered positive reinforcement, and both increase the future frequency of behavior. Our goal is always to get to more natural reinforcers, even when we start with things that may seem artificial or unnatural, but it's always great to make sure that we capture a learner's motivation. Without motivation, teaching a new skill can be very difficult, and it can not be very fun for the learner or for the person teaching the skill. So it is important to make sure the child is motivated for what you consider a reinforcer. And remember, it's only a reinforcer if it increases the future frequency of behavior. The quicker you can provide a reinforcement following a target behavior, the more likely that behavior is to increase in the future. Do not allow too much time for other behaviors to occur, or you may incidentally increase that behavior. A great example that I like to use is a child performs a series of actions or requests, and we go to reinforce them. But the therapist or the mom or the BCBA waits too long. We're digging in our bag looking for something, and instead of immediately having that reinforcer ready to give to them and say, great job, and make sure that the skill we want, context reinforcement, while we're doing other things, the child may start to pick their nose or, get out of their seat, and then we deliver a reinforcer, and you have to ask yourself, what behavior did I just reinforce? Did I actually reinforce the imitation I was teaching or the labeling I was teaching, or did I reinforce digging in his nose or falling out of his chair? So the biggest complaint about reinforcement is that it does seem unnatural at times, and I agree with that. It can. Although we may start with pretzels or some edible your child likes to get them going and to create that behavior momentum and to get them to enjoy learning from adults, the ultimate goal is always to switch to natural reinforcers. We should always be pairing behavior-specific praise, positive praise, if they're little, some touch and tickles and wiggles, so that we can phase out the unnatural things and move toward the more natural things. Remember, reinforcement is key to increasing the future frequency of behavior. That's our lesson for today. So what are we going to do? We're going to use reinforcement. And what's a main cornerstone of reinforcement? Motivation. The child should always be motivated to get that reinforcer. If you give them something you think they like, and it's not what they want at that time, it will not serve as a reinforcer. So it's great to do preference assessments, and we can learn more about that next week. Thanks so much for joining me today.